I'm Celeste Montoya, or as my students know me, Dr. or Professor Montoya. On a Boulder casual campus like CU, it often feels odd asking my students to use such a formal title, but I think it's important. Why? Is it because of the many years of college, 4 years of undergraduate and 7 traumatic years of graduate school to earn a master's and PhD in political science? Maybe a little. Actually, it's more because in those 11 years of studying political science, I never once had a Latino or Latino professor. I never once was assigned an article or book by or about Latinos. In fact, I didn't know many Latino students, and I was the first one in my family to go away to a traditional 4-year residential college, to go to graduate school, and to earn a PhD. My parents were always very supportive, although my dad constantly asked me what I was going to do with a political science degree. Why don't you take some business classes just in case? There was no one I knew who had taken this path, and I didn't have any examples of people like me who had either. All I knew was that I loved studying political science, and I had professors who encouraged me to apply to graduate school, believing that I was smart enough to get the fellowships I would need to attend. That mentorship was important, but it wasn't quite the same thing as having role models from similar backgrounds, very visibly showing me that this was a path I could take. In graduate school, this was particularly difficult. I often felt like I got into Washington University, which has one of the top political science programs, by mistake. That maybe I had fooled the admissions committee. Or maybe, like the narrative so many like me have heard, I really was just an effort to diversify the program, and I really wasn't qualified to be there. I was worried that I would let people down and prove that I didn't belong. I was the only person of color in my graduate cohort, and while there were a few African Americans in the cohort behind me, the only other Latino in the entire 7 years that I was there was one other student from Columbia. There were a lot of times that I almost gave up, that I truly believed that I was an imposter and that this was not a path possible for me. Until I attended the Western Political Science Association conference. One of my advisors, a female faculty member, had encouraged me to attend because the conference had a feminist theory workshop and she knew I was interested in gender politics. What she didn't know was that there was also a Latino politics workshop and a very active Latino caucus. When I attended the conference, I met a Latina in the workshop I was attending, and later she took me to my first caucus event. There, I was in a room full of Latino professors and graduate students. It blew my mind, and it significantly changed my relationship with political science and academia in big and small ways. Not only did this career path seem like it was really possible for the first time, but that day I started to build friendships and connections that have sustained me over the years. It was through this network that I made friends with other students to commiserate with, to cheer on, and to be cheered by. I met mentors and role models from other schools that gave me advice, let me know about opportunities, and later wrote letters of recommendation for jobs and even tenure. I met people who have become collaborators and co-authors. This was and continues to be a valuable support system for me, an academic community that has allowed me to fulfill my potential and to silence the voices of doubt in my head whenever they arise, which is more often than I'd like to admit, even now as a professor at a top research institution with many publications and awards to my name. Research shows that communities like this are important, particularly for groups that are underrepresented in fields of study, institutions of higher education, or in any institutional or societal unit. They are an important means of persisting in challenging environments. The feelings of doubt and anxiety I experienced are common for students of color, for first-generation college students, and even for women in male-dominated fields. And they have official names. Impostor syndrome is when an individual doubts their accomplishments and is unable to internalize success because of a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. Stereotype threat is when people feel themselves to be at risk of conforming to negative stereotypes about their social group. Both of these can cause an unusually high-level anxiety, and studies have shown that they can negatively impact performance and reduce persistence. These conditions are particularly prevalent in environments where students feel isolated and in socio-political climates that are particularly fraught with negative rhetoric. Enter the Miramontes Arts and Science Program, or MASP, and its corollaries in the CU Lead Alliance. This year, MASP celebrates its 25th anniversary at CU. Originally the Minority Arts and Science Program, MASP was started in 1993 in response to the alarming rate at which extremely capable and talented students of color were leaving the natural science majors and often the university altogether. The mission of this program was to support historically underrepresented students in the natural sciences, retain them until their graduation from CU, and then help and encourage them to pursue postgraduate studies and professional careers. The idea behind MASP was to take highly motivated and high-achieving minority students and provide them with a space and the opportunity to develop an academic community where students could band together and learn to support and encourage each other while navigating a high-stress environment and pursuing academic excellence. The idea was not to be a traditional support program, but instead it was to be a rigorous academic program for students aimed at tackling the challenges that come about from being a member of an underrepresented group. A program that would contest the harmful and inaccurate societal perceptions, and one that would remind the students all that they were capable of. As I often tell my students, programs like MASP exist not because these students aren't ready for the university, but in many ways, the university was not ready for them. Since its inception, MASP has grown in many ways. It is no longer the Minority Arts and Science Program, but the Miramontes Arts and Science Program, named after the very special and dynamic Ophelia Miramontes. Dr. Miramontes was a bilingual first-generation college student who helped found the CU Lead Alliance, a network of organizations who continue to follow Dr. Miramontes' vision of combining the pursuit of academic excellence with engaged, inclusive academic communities. Rather than just serve the natural science, MASP now represents majors from all three divisions of the College of Arts and Sciences, adding the social sciences and arts and humanities. It serves students from the underrepresented communities and/or those who are first in their families to go to college. MASP has grown in size. From the first summer bridge program of about a dozen students, our last freshman cohort had over 40 students. And this spring, we are piloting a spring bridge program to reach more. MASP currently has 160 students, our largest number ever, and we're trying to figure out a way to double those numbers to support and retain more students. Students in MASP usually start in our summer bridge program, the Program for Excellence in Academic Communities, or PEAK. PEAK is a rigorous one-month academic program students take before starting their freshman year. They take 5 classes reflecting the arts and science new general education curriculum, and a 6th class called CU 101, which uncovers that hidden curriculum. Students are also exposed to additional academic enrichment opportunities, but the most important component of the program is building community. The students live together in the dorms, they eat and study beside one another, and they learn to work together as a team. They are mentored by a team of sophomores and juniors who are trained to lead by example and facilitate an inclusive community out of students with very different backgrounds, experiences, and abilities. Our motto is, "Together we rise," and students are taught that community is something you build each day and that you only get out of it what you are willing to put in. And the results are impressive. Students coming out of PEAK feel significantly more prepared for college courses than when they started, and assured that they have a support system to fall back on when classes do begin. After students make it through the Summer Bridge program, they're invited into the larger MASP community, where they can remain a member through graduation. All MASPians receive a participation scholarship as long as they remain fully engaged in the program. It's a small carrot we use to make sure they stay engaged, something we know makes a difference in their academic performance. The Scholar Agreement outlines these requirements, but also what our program provides. In MASP, students receive one-on-one mentoring with a faculty director. They have access to a computer lab printing in a community room, which they must use weekly. They participate in 4 all-community events over the course of the year and can select 3 smaller community workshops each semester, such as Meet the Professor, learning skills workshops, community conversations, stress busters, and much more. Students also participate in small, unique 1-credit-hour seminars each semester for their first 4 semesters, although sometimes they choose to do it beyond that. Although our programming and staff are important, it is what we see going on in the community room that is most valuable. Students supporting each other, mentoring each other, giving encouragement, even a bit of friendly competition and some positive peer pressure can go a long way. As a result of the community programming and support, MASP has a much higher persistent rate than the general student population at CU, and certainly among first-generation and traditionally underrepresented students. Furthermore, our students are not just surviving, they're thriving. In the last several years, we've developed more thorough measures of assessment, and amongst our most recent graduates, we found that 100% of them participated in what we call high-impact practices. That's undergraduate research, internships, and study abroad. 96% of them participated in community groups outside of MASP, which we find is really important to their sense of belonging at CU. And 72% of them were in leadership positions. In the past 2 years, we've had 6 of our students receive the Eck Award. It's the most prestigious award given by the College of Arts and Science, and it is given to only about a dozen students a year, those who demonstrate high academic achievement and have made significant contributions to the community at CU and beyond. Among our students, 96% of students credited MASP as the primary reason for their academic success and for helping them overcoming their greatest challenges. As you can probably guess, I could talk about MASP for a very long time, well beyond the 10 minutes we're supposed to stick to today. If this is your first time hearing about MASP or the CU Lead Alliance, I encourage you to learn more. Directing MASP has been one of the great honors of my career. In some ways, it has been my way of paying it forward to the communities and mentors that have helped me to get where I am. But the truth is that these students inspire me on a daily basis and keep me moving forward when it sometimes seems impossible, because they're worth it, and because I know what we're doing matters. Well, I hope my presence helps them see what is possible for them. Seeing them reminds me what is possible for all of us. So learn about MASP and its sister organizations in the CU Lead Alliance, get involved, and remember that it's together we rise.